May 29th, 2021. Osher, astrologer, how are you doing? And Mercury is stationing to move retrograde. This is emphasizing the energy of Mercury. I'm ruled by Mercury. Going to get the eclipse on my birthday. We are between eclipses season. We just had May 26th lunar solar eclipse, and the solar eclipse, which is a new moon in Gemini, will happen in June 10th. I discussed, and many astrologers are joining to this call, that June 2021 is the craziness that pretty much described in how 2021 is about to be. Crazy, chaotic, broken reality. We don't know how, because Uranus is playing hard with the entire structure, and in other words is like, let God to do his job, because it's above the ability to predict it. It's something unexpected. Indeed, we are seeing the end of the COVID. And here from Israel, since I just arrived, the ceasefire that was all over in the media for the last month, and from June 1st, no restrictions of COVID, no mask, and everything seems to go back to normal. Under such astrology, I'm very much suspecting whatever is happening beneath the surface. Is it a quiet before the storm? Probably yes. We are heading right now to a square between Uranus and Saturn. Saturn is retrograde now, and Uranus is moving direct and will square it. All those movements of the planets that everybody are speaking right now about are playing on my chart hardly. So if I'm to represent something of the collective consciousness or being part of the middle of the storm, here I'm your messenger, being Mercury ruled Gemini man. I was called to come after a long time back to Israel, and suddenly the quiet of the storm, that I believe that Israel is not innocent at all, to many things that involved in one big structure, not just from here, mostly connected to United Kingdom, Israel, and United States, together with Israel, where the controller of the system are sitting mostly, to my understanding. Sometimes, instead of running out from the storm, you are jumping inside the storm, and then you find a sort of peace. But I'm your messenger, and having enough time to dig in, and one moment before we are going to dig very much inside with Mercury retrograde to all of us in the eclipses season. It's all changing. Gemini and Mercury is speaking about the speed and the change. This is mutable sign. Gemini is asking us to learn through experience, to learn through questioning, to learn through movement and through adjustment. All the wisdom that you are gaining in your life is through trial and errors. And this is the things that we need to follow right now. And as Mercury is ready to retrograde in the period of the new moon in Gemini and the eclipse season, the solar eclipse in Gemini, something will confuse us, will drive us crazy, together with a square that Mercury is going to do again 2 more times with Neptune, the media, the spell, the lies, all what you think you know, and you maybe don't know nothing. Many things are hidden from us, and people are just craving for escapism, for give me football, some beers, and let me enjoy, and not really caring who is managing their bank account, who is abusing their power. But when you don't understand numbers, when you don't understand rules, you just prefer to ignore. It will be lovely to ignore all of this and not having those structures that are abusing us. It will be better to trust, but this is not trust. And this is why Mercury needs to be in retrograde now, to enabling us to see backward what we didn't notice before, but it will be very confusing. In the background, as we said, we have Uranus squaring Saturn, and on the same time Mercury to square Neptune. I opened the charts of some countries, really curious to see what can I predict, what can I find to guide us all, to guide myself even. What best to do, how to do, more than just the importance of following our heart and our guides. That this is very important right now, to not follow just the logic, but to follow the intuition of the moment. That you will do what seems to you justice in a divine matter. So I started with the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom is very much related to the corona crisis. Why? Because of the corona, because of the crown. And where's the crown of the capitalism is sitting? In England, in the United Kingdom. The Queen is there, still working as Queen. So United Kingdom has a very long history, and there are different charts of the United Kingdom. The one I checked was from January 1st, 1801. And I thought that maybe it will be more telling looking in the chart of the Boris Johnson. I saw already in the chart of 1801 something very suspicious, but to verify it, I came to the UK Prime Minister, that is Gemini man, that also going to enjoy from the eclipse. I will not cover all those transits that is happening in this chart, just seeing it to myself to channel my thoughts. Boris Johnson already got the COVID and spoke very as evident of how we need to behave with this. But something unexpected is about to happen to him, to his chart, I would suspect, or to how it's representing, projecting things, events in the UK. This is a continuous transit that is going to be until the end of the year, that Jupiter is going to conjunct with his Saturn, that is in 5 degrees of Pisces. But most importantly, this is about Uranus to conjunct his Jupiter in the 8th house. This is a major event of lose of control. Also to what I see in the chart of the UK, in the Parliament. It's become the Great Britain. When I'm going to the United States natal chart, and I'm looking right now on the last day of the spring, on June 19th, around this area. It can start already from the very first days of June, and it could even occur even in the very last days of even the beginning of July. In this region, this is very strong activation. In the United States natal chart, there are very strong indications of activating a war or the new way of wars, cyber attack. Mars to conjunct the north node of the US in the 8th house, and the north node to conjunct Uranus of the US when Mercury is still retrograde in Gemini. Something to lose control. Going to the chart of Israel, let me see a moment. Going to the chart to Israel, this is simply crazy. I'm watching this transit coming since time ago. And here we are. Uranus moving in a new zone that we didn't see for 80 years. And in the next month, Uranus is about to conjunct, even during June, to conjunct the North Node, Rahu, of Israel, in the 7th house. And this is just yesterday. They announced to have a new government without Netanyahu. Sounds like a good news start. And now Saturn is retrograde. The beast is losing power and something out of control. Unity of different groups and people can win the beast or defeat it at least. It's still not the end game. But in this June, we may see some events, I suspect, external events, because it's Uranus, that may create a lot of distress and shock and confusion. And my suspicion is major blackout or cyber attack on main government structures or management of countries. It could reset banks or to damage important even food supply. The crypto space will be okay. Even will be a good color indication to show to people alternative how to move sort of what called money. But it will call to all of us to change our behavior and to adjust our decision, our projection, and how we are interacting with the current system. More worrying me, concerning me, is what will happen in the Middle East. And why? Because my oil forecast projection are showing that as we start in June, another wave and brutal wave is coming during most of summer to inflate the oil price much higher. And when this happens, we need to see something in the news like explosions, fires, or whatever, lack of, maybe hacking of some ports, even without happening nothing. It's just frozen, and then it's not arriving to where it should arrive, and the demand is increasing, and the price is pushing up as well. It's not must to be violent. It's something of God in a way. It's Uranus involving in this now, squaring Saturn just to show us. It's the end game is to show us a new sort of reality. And this is the beauty also of this, that is not all must to be physical through violent or through power, physical power. It's just the brain. How with little effort or without you can defeat someone that is bigger than you. David and Goliath sort of story. Never late to say, back up everything, be flexible, surrender. Don't sign, don't commit to something that will attach you to your entire life or months or years. Slow down, see the changes happening, and adjust with it. We are not in a highway right now that you are just driving with the same velocity with the music. This is going to be a slalom way right now, and you never see the other side. Turn right, turn left, and be always on the brakes. This is the energy in description of those weeks to come. Exactly on the day of the sun solstice, June 21st, Jupiter will start to retrograde. Mercury just will finish and Jupiter will start to retrograde. So Jupiter is the opposite archetype of Mercury, is ruling the South Node, and it's in Pisces right now. It's happening on the same month, and I'm taking us to this extreme hot point, according to astrology, around these moments. What experience, what is happening in the world, something in the world is changing, and it could come from above. Like meteor also could be, but I mostly believe because of Mercury information and data, it can happen like a hack or like a fall of system or something like this. And it will come to show, it won't be the end of the world, but it will be a very important challenge, maybe to show us a new way of doing things. The more I'm seeing places going back to normal, the normal of post-COVID, but as what we lived before, and the way of how people spending money and move, the warrior I become. It's not a paradigm that we need to go, and it will come as boom, boom, boom. We still have few more booms into the middle of 2023, as Pluto will end the sign of Capricorn. And it's very much systematic. Also, we are very much handling with options of earthquakes. And to the natal chart of the United Kingdom and Boris Johnson, could be also an eruption in Ireland or something like this that could affect the world. Remember a few years ago that it was the volcano that all flights stopped because of the smoke? Something like this. It could be exaggerated because of extra thing. Who knows? It could be issues with the 5G infrastructure. Remember, as Uranus right now is squaring Saturn, it will be to the favor of people, but mostly to the people that are going to the future, that are seeing the future, that learned what isn't working, that asking the question and are not trusting the system that brought to you since you're born. Something wasn't okay so far and still isn't. We are heading for new balance. It will be mutable of June. the mutating of June and the mutation of September, as we will enter to Virgo. And in those moments of timing, a big shifts also in the market will occur. Yeah. So just a welcoming video to June with very unexpected and not stable way that we are going to drive our life through. Very important to connect to our local environment, to help to the people we love and trust. This is why also Mercury and Venus met before Mercury to start to retrograde. And also Mars is in Cancer, that is calling us to focus on our family, on who loves us, on who we avoided so far to see. This will be our option to be safe. And Mars isn't like to be in Cancer, doesn't like being Cancer. So it's creating a lot of explosive. Also as territories of countries. Biden just recently said that China is planning to control the US by 2035. I think it's planned before, but also the astrology is confirming it. And if the US will sink due to whatever plan or being not prepared, the United States is prepared physically with a lot of plans, with a lot of bombs, with a lot of weapons, but is not prepared technologically how money works and other things of the collection of data that China does. So once the US will sink, China could save the US under their condition. But it also could be a new structure of the war. China right now is putting in her pocket a lot of countries through a very long-term strategy, offering for very cheap products. Everybody are consuming their products, and more to another videos that dedicating about how China become that big. Wishing all of us a good eclipse season, safe June. Do some flexible exercises. You need to move a lot. Don't be rigid. Rigidness and stubbornness is the danger in Gemini season. Because when you cannot sit still, you must change. This is a new way of driving right now. And don't keep to yourself. Communicate and solve the problems with your dear ones. I also have to do some in my family. Bye for now and be safe.